Now, when I was a kid, I always was afraid of graveyards until I realized that the one time I actually went to a graveyard, the only thing rising from the dead was my eggplant. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another crazy but super embarrassing story. Now, today's story all takes place back, actually funny enough, in my grade 11 year. Now, in grade 11, as you guys may know, and I always say this in like every single video I've ever done on this channel, I was a major player, one of the biggest players in all of my high school. I know that sounds really weird, but at the same time, I went to 3 different high schools. So I guess you can say in my entire school district, my eggplant has been in more women than your mom has ever seen. Okay, wait, that sounds really bad. Let me rephrase that, but actually, never mind. Let's just get into the story. So I remember during my grade 11 year, me being a player and all, I remember I actually ended up going into my PE class. I took physical ed because obviously one of my main goals back when I was younger was to be jacked. Obviously, I was really skinny back then. If anything, I think I graduated high school weighing like 125 pounds, which is super insane, by the way. But also on top of that, like I never really ate as much because I was always scared of getting fat. But with this fear of being fat, I took physical education to kind of learn ways to like be more healthy. And when I entered inside my PE class, I ended up realizing that there was a new student that ended up joining in. Now, this new student wasn't any ordinary student. To be honest with you, this student actually kind of looked kind of weird. What do I mean by this? Well, I think we all know those like typical goth girls that like, you know, have black hair, wear usually all black, and on top of that, kind of just look entirely emo. I never really understood why people like this existed in the first place. I always blame the rock scene for this kind of reason, but at the same time, I don't really know. I guess you could say it's like a new nonchalant way and it defines some sort of aura for these goth people, even though in my opinion, it's all really weird in the first place. But not only just that, I remember when I saw her, I ended up like seeing her, and during PE, as we were all like playing games and, you know, being active and stuff, what this girl would do would sit in the end of the gymnasium in the very corner of it, and she would start basically drawing on herself. I don't know why, but she would always carry the Sharpie as if she wanted to be like a tattoo artist of some sort, and she would always draw on herself like the most weirdest thing. Like I remember one day I ended up seeing on her leg like a giant, and I mean a massive picture of a skull. Really weird, kind of creepy, but at the same time, once again, people like this for some reason exist. I don't know why. My opinion, don't draw yourself a Sharpie. Hell, it's not even healthy to do that, I don't think. So just don't draw yourself in general. If you want to draw on something, draw on a piece of paper like normal artists would. Anyways though, I remember when I saw her during my PE class sitting in the corner, our teacher was pairing us up to do tennis. And me, I never really liked tennis. I always thought it was a really weird sport. Comment down below what sport you guys play. But I remember I ended up basically getting paired up with her during tennis. And when I saw my teacher pairing me up with her, I was like, dude, you're joking, right? Oh, Bubba, just give her a chance. Come on, she's in the corner. Just make her be active a little bit. Come on, you got that power in you, don't you? I mean, sure, I guess. Perfect. Just try to relate to her and get her active. Come on. So I remember I ended up basically like, you know, going up to this girl in the corner, and I looked at her and I'm like, hey, I brought you your tennis racket. Oh. Thanks. What do you want? Oh, well, I mean, we got paired up, so do you want to maybe play tennis? Honestly, like, I'm kind of like meditating right now and like talking to the spirits, so like, no thanks. Oh, okay. Cool, I guess, is what I said to her really awkwardly because I didn't really know what to say after that. Like, she was talking to spirits and meditating in the corner of our school gym. Like, what am I supposed to do? Okay, what am I supposed to go down there and just start meditating with her in PE class? I don't know. I was really weirded out, and it got to the point where I ended up just walking up to my teacher, totally giving up. But then my teacher once again said, make her active or you're not passing this class. Come on, just do something. At that moment, I walked up to this girl once again, and I was like, yo, listen, you're gonna cost me my PE class. Can you please just stand up and just like, you know, just hit the racket a couple times? Like, it's nothing that crazy. I sense a really angry aura around you. What? Are you good? Is what I said to her, totally like annoyed at her. And it got to the point where I got so mad that I ended up just actually leaving class. At that moment, I knew that I was gonna fail no matter what. So when I left the classroom, I remember I ended up just going to the cafeteria and sitting down, waiting for lunch to happen, because on that day, specifically, it was mac and cheese day, and I love mac and cheese. It's one of my favorite foods to ever eat in the entire world. So as I'm sitting in the school cafeteria, scrolling through TikTok on my phone, out of nowhere, I ended up seeing someone sit in front of me, and it was the girl from my PE class. I look at her and I'm like, oh, great. So now you want to eat with me as you make me fail class. What do you want? Baba, just give me your hand. She ends up grabbing my hand and she's like, I sense a bright future for you. Something you've always wanted. And at that time, I didn't really know why she was trying to read my hand, but also I didn't know what she meant by, you know, what I wanted for my future. At that time in grade 11, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to be. And I'm gonna be brutally honest, I did not expect for me to become a YouTuber and make videos about me doing women. Like, it's one of the most weirdest things, but at the same time, I guess it all, you know, adds up eventually, kinda. No? Okay. Anyways, like I was saying, from there, I remember things got really awkward as she was reading my hand, and I look at her and I'm like, okay, listen, I don't know what you're trying to do, but like, you already helped me fail my class. Like, what do you want? Honestly, Baba, I think like you need to like really just learn to chillax. Oh, and you can show me how to chillax. Yeah, like I can show you how to relax a bit more and, you know, be a better person. Be a better person. You're the one drawing on yourself with Sharpie and you're telling me how to be a better person. Yeah, I don't know. After that conversation, it got really awkward to the point where I stood up because the bell rang for lunch once and for all, and I went straight to the cafeteria store to get my food. But I remember once I got my food, this emo girl started following me around the school very awkwardly and obviously. And by that, I mean like no joke, it got to the point where one of my IRL friends ended up walking up to me being like, yo, Bubba, why is that girl following you? And I realized that it was still her, and I got so annoyed to the point where I basically walked up to her and I'm like, yo, listen, you need to like not follow me because it's getting weird. Bubba, I like sense this like aura between us. Wait, what do you mean aura? Like I sense this aura that like me and you are like meant to be connected in some way, but I don't know if it's real. Okay, well, honestly, like, what do I gotta do to just get you off my back is what I asked her. And that's when she told me after school to meet up with her at the front of the school. I didn't know why, but I was like, sure, whatever. And I remember as the school day went on, she would still follow me, but not as crazily. And even got to the point where she followed me on Instagram, which is super weird. And by the way, for people watching this video, do not stalk my Instagram followers. You're not gonna find the girls I tell in this story, bro. You're not finding anything. Anyways, I remember the end of the school day finally came and I ended up standing in front of my school waiting for her. It took her like 20 minutes to come over and finally get ready, but she ended up coming up with her tote bag, or like a bag that like was kind of like a purse, and she walks up to me and she's like, okay, Bubba, let's go. And me and her, we start basically going inside my car, and she ended up putting the GPS on my car to a certain place she wanted to go to. I didn't know where she searched up, and when I ended up looking on the map, it looked like we were just going to a basic field. So I thought, oh, maybe this girl just wants to, you know, meditate on a field. So as we drive down there, I start realizing we passed through a church, and here's a fun fact, most churches have a graveyard nearby. So we ended up going to this field and I parked my car and I ended up seeing like a lot of graves around, and I look at this girl and I'm like, what are we doing here? Bubba, just follow me. Me and her, we end up sitting between like a bunch of graves that are like close together, and she starts like basically putting her hands up, meditating. I don't really know why, but I sat next to her and I'm like, so what are we supposed to do here? I'm trying to see if there's an aura, but I can't feel anything. Here, let me take off my hoodie. I remember this girl ends up taking off her hoodie and I instantly got bricked. You guys are probably wondering, whoa, that's a weird turn. What do you mean you got bricked? And I realized that this girl, even though she wore the most baggiest black clothing ever, she had a nice pair of racks, okay? She had a nice pair of cherries that I've ever seen. So I'm looking at this girl's cherries and I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. And one thing leads to another. Me and this girl, it gets kind of intense because I end up getting bricked and I end up kind of like playing along with what this girl was saying because I started getting a form of attraction for her. And like I said, in high school, grade 11, I was a major player, okay? So like, don't judge me on this one. I know you guys are typing down in the comments judging me, but just understand, I wasn't thinking anything better, okay? She starts basically sitting back down and she's like, I'm starting to feel a presence coming in. I feel it all now. And one thing leads to another. I go along with it and I'm like, oh yeah, I also feel that presence. I think it wants us to do the Devil's Tango. She ends up looking at me super weird, but then she's like, do you seriously feel that aura? Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. It wants us to be more connected. And that's when she ends up smiling, and me and her, I'm not gonna lie, we literally did the Devil's Tango at the graveyard. Really insane. Never gonna do it again, and rest in peace to those people that we were doing it on top of. Does that sound normal? I don't really know, but anyways, yeah, we end up doing it, and one thing leads to another. We end up seeing one of the pastors come out of the church that was nearby, and he walks over the graveyard and sees me and this girl doing the Devil's Tango. And he starts freaking out, saying that he's gonna call security. And yeah, me and this girl, we end up getting up. We actually ends up running away from there. And I don't know, apparently the next day when I saw her at school, she had a weird dream about me becoming like some sort of like bad influence towards people, and she told me to stay away from her. Wasn't my choice, but hey, she was down. I don't really know. I don't really know what to say from there, but that girl was freaky. And you know what's funny? Still to this day, she still is kind of the same way. I don't know. Would you guys ever do it in the graveyard? Because if you would, then click on one of the videos on screen right now and follow for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.